The only thing I want to put up here at the top as far as notes go, because this applied for both days that we've been doing this so far, is understanding what types of lines and kind of figuring out where I'm going to shade. So, couple reminders. If it's just less than or greater than, that's going to be a dotted line. If it's or equal to, that's going to be solid. That's something I look very closely for when we get to the quiz on this later next week. The other thing we're going to watch for is where to shade. If the arrow's eating Y, we shade above. If the arrow's pointing at Y, we go below. If you keep those two things straight, this should be pretty straightforward. So on the regular graphing part, I want to take a peek at 2, just 2. Whoops, I won't move that up quite yet. We're going to hang out in the middle of the sheet here on 3 and 4, just because, again, if you're all straight on all this already and you're flying along, you fly along. I got a key up here on front and in there as well. So here, I'll bring that back down momentarily. Just want to get to these. Okay. If we're in y equals right away, hallelujah, this is the easiest one we got. There's my y-intercept. That first point almost every time is going to be on the y-axis. Reminder though on slope, if it is negative, one number gets negative, not both. So from here, I'm going to go down 2 and right 3, down 2 and right 3, because we like at least 3 points when we can. Line underneath, we're going to be solid. We're good there. And since the arrow is eating y, that means greater than. We shade above. We keep life simple. That's it. But are they all going to be quite that straightforward? No. Sometimes my first job is going to be to get y by itself. So, if I want y by itself, I got to tell that 4x to get out of there. So we're going to do the opposite. We're going to minus 4x. And we've talked about it, but I'll talk about it again. Everything needs to be in slope-intercept form, which means the x term comes first after the arrow. But y is still not alone. And so in this case, not every case, just this one, if you're dividing everything by a negative, we've got to remind ourselves in that case to flip the arrow. Not every single time. And if I punch in, oops, let me get out of there. If I punch in my fraction, math and runner, fractions aren't bad at all. So y is by itself. There's my intercept. Now, a little bit different of an issue. Normally, I'd go up 4 and right 5 right now. But instead, I don't have room to do that. So in this case, I'm going to change the signs on both of these, which is perfectly legal. And I'm going to go down 4 and left 5. Now, I'm not going to get my third point. That's a little disappointing, but that's okay. Arrow with a line underneath. Arrow, don't look at the original, look at the new one. Arrow pointing at y, which is less than, we're going to shade below. Keep life simple. So again, just looking for some of those little detail things to make sure we've got them cleaned up and ready to go. That rolls us to yesterday. And the last thing that I'm going to kind of jump in here with, but I am going to give some hints for the bottom. I was super nice back here. I made everything be in y equals. So, we'll just knock out this first one. I'll give a little bit of advice for the review on the bottom because, I mean, that might show up somewhere. Probably will. And then I'll let you loose. So -2 is my y-intercept, my first point. My slope is 4/1. Make it a fraction. Just pretend I know. Thank you. So I get that second point. If I want to wing it, I could wing it slightly off my graph. And again, I go looking for those same details that I've looked for in the other two we've done. Line underneath, it's solid. Y is greater than, the arrow is eating y, we shade above. Now, that one's a little trickier to tell it's above. Above, again, if it's above, you're always looking for where the top of your y-axis is. That's the side that's above. Below will always be the arrow going downside. If you're looking for an extra little helpful hint. The other one, my red, y-intercept at 3. My slope is -1 or -1/1. So we're going down 1 and right 1. Down and right, down and right. It's just less than. It's not less than or equal to. So this one, we're dotting our way through. Arrow pointing at y is less than, which is below the line. And I'm looking for that spot that I'm seeing red and blue. Not just red, not just blue, but red and blue. So I get that colored in. That's it for my systems. The reason I'm throwing this bottom stuff back in is it's going to start showing up in a couple of places in the near future. So I want to make sure we don't forget it. So as I move down to the bottom, just a couple of quick reminders. Slope formula. Labeling points, never a terrible idea. And then we just simplify the fraction. Okay, slope, we've been seeing slope since like pre-algebra. So it's been a while sometimes, but we can get that in there. And then find the slope of a line parallel. Parallel occurs when you have the same slope. So here, once you get your equation into y equals, the x value, the m value is the answer. So we got to get it into y equals, and then whatever your slope is what you're looking for. However, and I'm going to do one of these, perpendicular is the opposite reciprocal. You're like, wait, what's that mean again? Okay. we still have to be in y equals before we can figure this out. So let's take care of that first. Totally alone. Once we get it to y equals, we know that's the slope of my line, the number in front of x. To find the slope of the line perpendicular, you change the sign, which would mean it's positive, and you take the reciprocal. You flip the fraction. That's all I want. You don't have to come up with an equation, anything fancy. Find your slope, flip it, change the sign, call it good. So again, nice opportunity.